The Chief Clerk will now read the certificate of election of the Honorable James S. Kenney as Mayor of the City of Philadelphia.
Jim Kenney. At an election held November 3, 2015, you were duly elected the Mayor of the City and County of Philadelphia for a term of 4 years, commencing the first Monday of January, 2016.
Hello. The Honorable Kevin Doherty, Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, will administer the oath of office to the Mayor.
I'll go again.
The old saying, it was so nice, sometimes you want to do it twice.
That's it, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
I present to you the Mayor of the City of Philadelphia, James Kenney.
Jim Kenney is receiving a standing ovation, second standing ovation from the crowd. More than 1,000 people here at the Academy of Music, and all the elected officials of City Council, all of the judges who are in the back who are yet to be sworn in. First major speech by Jim Kenney.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how humbling and what an honor it is to be standing in this wonderful room with all these people that I have known my whole life and have worked with, and have been sworn in with my children holding the Bible by a young man who just got elected to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, who he and his brother lived about 100 yards from our home in South Philadelphia, with his brother John and Kevin. We did pretty good, Kevin, don't you think? God bless America. And it's going to take me a little time getting used to not being in City Council. What? It's going to take me a little time not being in City Council because I voted 3 times during the course of the session. I kept on saying aye, and my daughter kept on looking at me like I was nuts. First, I want to thank my parents and my children for their support today and every day. Thank you so much. I also want to thank the Council President and City Council for allowing me to be here today. This is, after all, your session and your reorganization. I look forward to working with you in the years to come on many important things. We will be partners in this endeavor, and we will show you the respect that you've earned as independent elected officials in getting the job done for all the citizens of this city. I'd like to thank Governor Rendell, Mayor Street, Mayor Green, Mayor Good, Mayor Nutter, and Justice Doherty, and importantly, all of our tremendous city workforce who helped put this all together and who are working out in the street right now in every capacity to make our city run. I thank you for all your work. I asked some of my predecessors for advice on the address I'm about to deliver, and above all else, they said to keep it brief, except for Mayor Street, who said as long as it takes. And admittedly, that's never really been a big problem for me. Back in February, I believe I sped read what was supposed to be a 15-minute speech in about 60 seconds, so bear with me. We actually held that first campaign speech in the mayor's reception room, and looking back, I guess it was a little presumptuous, but I wanted to launch our campaign there because it was the first time I was ever in City Hall, was when my mother took me to that very room to see my father promoted in the fire department. So that room has special meaning for me. It was actually Mayor Rizzo swore me in, which was an interesting process. From a pretty early age, I understood that Dad didn't just work to support our family, he worked for all of Philadelphia's families. And that meant that sometimes he was even going to be required to put other families before his own. When you're a child, that kind of sacrifice seems normal. It's your reality. But looking back, I see how extraordinary the sacrifice was that both my parents made. During my dad's long hours at the firehouse, my mother raised all 4 of us while also working outside the home so that we could attend parochial school. When I went to the prep, the Jesuits articulated my parents' sacrifices as the magis, which loosely translates to doing more for others. At the end of the day, it was the Jesuits' teaching and my parents' selflessness that led me to this stage. Together, they taught me that you can never truly be happy unless you're in service to others. Over the last year, we have articulated a lot of different ways that we believe our administration can serve the city. Expanded pre-K, stronger neighborhood commercial corridors, community schools, and community policing. And while those policies cover a wide range of issues, they all come from one fundamental truth. Government functions properly when it's accessible and accountable to the people it serves. I learned that truth working in my early days of government. I started my political career working in constituent services. It was my job to help folks get their water turned back on and to change the alley lights and to replace the basketball nets at the rec center. Thank you. Councilman Johnson is always wrecked out, man. And when you spend all day on the phone with people, you realize that when government just works as it's supposed to, it can dramatically change people's lives. For the 1 in 4 people in this city living in poverty, an effective public transportation system can make the difference of whether or not they can afford to go to that job interview. For a young family, affordable pre-K can make the difference of whether or not they can save for their children's college education. For an immigrant entrepreneur, a city commerce representative who can speak their native language can make the difference between a business that succeeds and one that fails. Accordingly, the vision that will guide this administration is that city government should first and foremost deliver efficient, effective services to every single Philadelphian. And that is regardless if they live in Northeast or Southwest, or if they're a new transplant or their family has lived here for generations. That may sound like a back to basics approach, but in reality, it is as large and difficult a goal as ever been announced on this stage. Providing efficient and effective services means that our government has to be ethical and open with taxpayers about the work they pay us to do. Providing efficient and effective services means educating all our children where they live. Our children should not have to get up before dawn and take 3 different buses to get to a good school. But in order to make quality schools in every neighborhood a reality, we will need the private sector and our nonprofit partners to come together with the city to create community schools, as Council President laid out very enthusiastically. Providing efficient and effective services also means that everyone feels that they can walk the streets safely and with dignity. But in order to make that a reality in Philadelphia, we will have to put aside our differences and acknowledge 2 things: that Black lives do matter, and that the overwhelming majority of our police are decent, hardworking public servants who risk their lives every day. We need to give our police the tools to establish strong relationships with the community they are sworn to protect and serve. Furthermore, providing efficient and effective services means that parents working 2 or 3 jobs should not live in poverty. But in order to create a living wage economy, our large corporate banks will have to invest in our small neighborhood businesses. Our corporate suite executives will have to hire our returning citizens coming back in reentry. And we will have to stop pitting the growth of blue-collar jobs at the port against white-collar jobs in our hospitals and tech firms. We must do both. To achieve this vision, we will have to work together. Government simply cannot do it alone. We need our businesses, our nonprofits, our universities, and everyday Philadelphians to come together and row in the same direction. That kind of unity may seem impossible to some, but there are so many Philadelphians that are already doing it. There are volunteer mentors who go to South Philadelphia High School every day to keep kids in school and off the streets. There are corporations that fund scholarships for our parochial students, like the Newman Greddy women's basketball team, so that those young women could become not only national champions on the court, but also be the first in their families to go to college. And I can't see you out there, but I'd like the national champion women's basketball high school team to stand to be recognized. And I just have one more thing to say to you. Squad. I love them, they're great. There are police officers who volunteer with PAL programs so that more children's first interaction with police officers are positive and fun. And there are community activists who organize so that we all are forced to acknowledge and do something about injustice in our society. There are community development corporations that work with neighbors and developers to make sure that our city grows but doesn't lose their oldest residents in the process of gentrification. So to all those Philadelphians and all the rest who have entrusted me with this great responsibility, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I promise to serve you, to be accountable to you, and most importantly, to listen and to work with you, so that we together as Philadelphians can make every single neighborhood in the city of Philadelphia the best that it can be. God bless you, and let's go to work.